As we remember those we lost, I would like to ask Dr. Pimentel, President of Fresno City College, to share his words of welcome and remembrance.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. This is a very special event that we try to have every year as we remember the victims of the 9/11 attacks in 2001. For some of you, many of you in the audience, you're too young to remember what happened that day because you weren't born yet. But this event will hopefully be an educational experience for you to get you to that point where you know and understand what happened and how those events really changed the way that we look at our democracy and the way that we look at our country. Of course, the train has to go by as soon as I start. So I'll give it a minute. To my right, you have our cadets, and I think to my left we have the police cadets. And these individuals up here have chosen an occupation where they often have to choose whether to defend all of you over their own selves. And for that, we are incredibly grateful that you have chosen this career and that you are unselfishly going out into the world of work and defending the communities that you serve. So now I want to ask all of you to please give them a round of applause for choosing this career. Continue to do this event because I think it's one of the most important events that we do every year. And we also want to make sure that our cadets know that we are here to support them in everything that they do. So I hope you enjoy the event, and I'll give it back to Mr. Gipos.
Thank you, Dr. Pimentel, for your words of welcome and remembrance. I like how somebody wrote this script for me. Last year, I myself, and even Chief Ott, and Class 56 missed this ceremony because Class 56 and company were at New York City. We actually made the trip and spent the 20th anniversary recognition there with the rest of FDNY and a number of other firefighters that came to show their support for the 20th anniversary of the events on 9/11. We were the only fire academy that was there amongst a majority of FDNY, and we also had firefighters that we met up with from California, from Orange County, LA City, and even Visalia Fire Department for a local department that were there that we met with, as well as some retired firefighters from Fresno that also made the trip. So there was a little piece of home that was in New York City when we were there. They were very impressed that we were able to raise the money that we did in the short amount of time that we did to enable to support them. And the best part was when they saw that Fresno patch on our shoulders, a lot of those firefighters remembered the time that the owner of Pelco flew out a number of FDNY, NYPD, and Port Authority families and service members out to California for a remembrance ceremony in Clovis. And they thought that it was amazing and took it upon themselves to come over and thank us for making the trip out, and how much they remembered and were thankful for the trip and the Central Valley's hospitality in bringing those members of the Port Authority, NYPD, and FDNY out here. So with that, I'm honored to introduce today's keynote speaker, Chief Michael Ott, who also went on the trip with us and is one of our adjunct instructors. Chief Ott is currently the fire chief in the city of Tulare. He leads a 41-member department serving 70,000 residents from 3 fire stations. In 2000, Chief Ott enlisted in the Air Force when he was 19 years old. Sounds familiar. During Operation Enduring Freedom, he had 3 different tours in the Middle East, which included Oman, Afghanistan, and the United Arab Emirates. With his 21 years in the Air Force, he served in the Fire and Emergency Services career field until he retired on December 31st, 2021. While in the service, he was able to pursue higher education while serving his country and earning 2 associate's degrees, a bachelor's degree, and a master's degree. Chief Ott is a Chief Fire Officer designee from the Center of Public Safety Excellence and is a member of the Institution of Fire Engineers USA branch. Chief Ott is also an adjunct instructor with us, like I had mentioned, and he has supported the Academy during unpaid internship during fall of 21 semester in conjunction with the Department of Defense Skill Bridge program that allows military members time during their last 6 months of active service to assist in the transition back to the civilian life and workforce. Please welcome Chief Michael Ott.
Good morning. Peter, thank you for that brief introduction. Dr. Pimentel, Fresno City College staff, and students, I'm honored to be here today. Usually I'm doing what Peter does. I've emceed September 11th memorials for the past 21 years, being in the military all over the globe. In Germany, I did lead the first September 11th memorial in Bagram Air Base, Afghanistan in September 11, 2002 on my second tour there. So I've done them all over the place: Honduras, Portugal, Texas, and South Dakota. And everywhere I go, it doesn't matter the culture that I'm associated with or the different countries, they're all with us in remembering all of those victims that we lost on September 11th. The firefighters, the police officers, the port authorities, the EMS folks, and obviously the victims who succumbed to the towers. I can remember where I was that day, and I think keynote speakers usually brief where they were at. I was in South Dakota. I literally had just got off shift from the fire department, and as a young military member, you don't have a lot of money, so you go to the dining hall and you eat your food. And we got our food, we sat down at a table, and I think when the second plane hit the tower, that's when the entire world had just flipped on the TV. Nobody really seen the first one because it wasn't really anything at that point. They thought it was just an accident. But when they found the other plane heading towards that second tower, that's where the news media woke up, and everybody in America flipped on their TVs, and I think we all saw that second one go. It was a short time after that, we were finishing our breakfast. About 45 minutes later, our pagers went off. Yes, there was a little thing called a pager. I know you younger folks don't know what that is. It was before cell phones, and it alerted us to come back to the fire station. We went back to the fire station, the base went on lockdown, and within about 3 hours, we had orders that we were gonna leave. I left my family, I left my mother and my father on a 6-month deployment. For basically the first 2 months, we were in blackout condition. Blackout condition means you cannot call your family. You cannot write a letter. Email was barely a thing back in 2001, but you couldn't email. There was no communication with the outside world because of the significance of what we were doing and where we were doing it at. So it was a very unique situation. I think I got my first phone call right around December, just before Christmas, to my family to inform them that we were still around. On that first deployment, I had the absolute pleasure of working with FDNY members that their brothers who had passed away about 3 months prior. They were part of the Air National Guard from the 106 Rescue Squadron, working missions out of a location that I was at, and working missions up into Afghanistan. Those members were absolutely fantastic, dealing with what they had dealt with in September, and then now fighting the good fight and fighting to defend the United States from any other attacks like that, just 3 months shortly after that incident. So it was pretty amazing that when they came in, they had these patches made. They had these patches made in New York shortly after the event, and those FDNY members brought these patches and they put them on aircraft that would fly up and conduct missions, similar to how you would take a flag and fold it up and put it on an aircraft to see and be part of the mission, and those flags would be given to members. You would send them back to your family, or you would send them to somebody, to a fallen soldier. These patches have seen the same thing, and it was fortunate enough that obviously we were firefighters, so we had that brother bond. They got some patches for us, and I've had mine ever since, and it's gone everywhere in the world with me. It's a little tattered